I'd like to dedicate this talk to the victims of the Dixie Fire in Northern California. It's now the third largest fire in California history at 432,000 acres. Its presence was felt here yesterday as smoke filled the air. More than 7,000 people have been evacuated from their homes in Plumas County. I'm going to now read the Canon Sutra for prolonging life and dedicate its merits to everyone affected. Kanzeon at one with Buddha, related to all Buddhas in cause and effect, and to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, joyful, pure, eternal being. Morning mind is Kanzeon, evening mind is Kanzeon. This very moment arises from mind, this very moment, not separate from mind. That was the English translation of the Enmei Juku Kenongyo. So my name is Kevin Shindo Souza. First, I'd like to thank my teacher, Kwong-roshi, for giving me the opportunity to give this talk today and to fulfill the role of Shuso for this summer's Ango. So we just finished our first week of Ango. It's been a great opportunity to realign and to renew our practice. I'm sorry if I keep swatting. There's a fly trying to get in my ear. So we do this by dedicating extra time to Zazen and studying the Dharma wholeheartedly. We emphasize that no matter where we are, online or here on the mountain, that we are all practicing the way together as one body and one mind. To quote from Roshi's book, every year our Zen Center offers a special practice period known as Ango, which means peaceful dwelling. This refers to a peace within each person that is so pervasive and deep that is inconceivable. Ango is part of the annual training cycle traditional at Zen temples and communities. At our temple, we offer Ango during the summer and winter sessions. We follow a very rigorous schedule during this time. We're up at 4:30 before dawn and spend the entire day in practice, either bowing or sitting, working, studying, or eating in a formal style, and then go to bed after the pillow bell. When you're on this kind of schedule, something happens to you, something substantial and important. You stop thinking about the hours of the day as your time, and you surrender to the relentlessness of the schedule. It's been an incredible first week, first practicing here with everybody and everybody online. Thank you for joining in the mornings and the evenings today. We know you're here with us, and we certainly can feel your presence. So thank you. I'd like to share just a few of my experiences in the first week as being Shuso. So I start each day waking up at 3:45. And at 4:30 each morning, one of my duties is to wake up everyone by ringing a bell that sits on the backside of the altar in the Zendo, throughout the temple grounds, emphasizing at all the power points of the mandala: Suzuki Roshi's altar, Roshi's Dokusan room, the red sign in the entrance facing the Sonoma Mountain, facing the altar in the Sangha house, the altar in the kitchen, both entries of the bathhouse, the workshop, the bancho, and then in between, constant rigging past all of the cabins. The purpose, of course, is to wake everybody up, but the actual experience is really deep. It's very deep. We're actually waking up the entire universe out of delusion when we do this. It's a very moving and primordial experience. It was something in the beginning that I didn't quite grasp until recently. It was just a struggle to get here in the morning and complete it. But now it's really starting to resonate with me. But it's taken a few days to settle into this role, as there were a lot of new tasks and responsibilities that I've had to take on, and at the same time trying to relearn a lot of the forms and tasks that I knew, but forgot for not being here for over a year and a half because of the pandemic. Oftentimes, I was the one who was supposed to be setting the example and leading the way, but was often looking to others for help. But like I said in the opening ceremony, with the Great Assembly's help, I'll do my very best to fulfill this role with dignity and compassion. And the Great Assembly has certainly been helping. Thank you. One of the offering incense for me in the first couple of days, for some reason, was challenging. I couldn't seem to get the incense to stand straight up. I would make my bows and approach the altar and offer the incense and look at it and say to myself, that looks good. And then come back, finish my bows, go back to my seat. And from my seat, I have a perfect view of the altar and the incense, and Roshi does too. And oftentimes I'd look at it and it would be just leaning on a 45-degree angle. And I would, it was definitely symbolic of where my mind was at in those first couple of days. It was.
Tell you that Koben Otagawa Roshi, his teacher's last words were, when you put the incense in the urn, you have to put it in straight. So what I learned is that you do it with your belly. You don't do it with your mind. And usually people, when they put the incense in, they jam it into the ashes, and it's about that deep. You don't have to. It's just the ashes have a life itself, even though they're dead, and you have a life, and you just rested in there from the belly, and it's usually straight. Yeah.
Thank you. I will try that next time. The instructions were pretty simple. Right in the middle and stand it straight up. But I appreciate that. Thank you, Roshi. Also, eating meals oryoki style has been an incredibly moving experience for me. We ate oryoki this morning for the first time in the Zendo for a while, and it was really nice. For those who aren't familiar, oryoki is a ceremonial practice of serving and eating meals here at Zen Center. It's been practiced in Zen temples since the Tang Dynasty in China. The initial O in oryoki means the receiver's response to the offering of food. Ryo means the amount or quality, and ki means the container, the bowl that contains the appropriate amount or just enough. During oryoki, we eat our meals in meditation, receiving in our bowls the food that's offered to us by the servers, bowing and chanting together in gratitude with everyone. And then when everyone has finished eating, we clean, reassemble, and rewrap our bowls at our seats. As Shusho, also one of my daily tasks is to clean the toilets every day. Every toilet on the property is my job to clean them. And I just find this such a humbling experience. It was perfect. Congratulations, you're Shusho. Now clean the toilets. It's absolutely perfect and exactly my style. I found that to be a very humbling experience and still do. Just one last thing before I get into the theme. I just want to share my new appreciation for Ango itself. I usually try to get up during Ango, a practice period, at least for a talk or a weekend during this time. But I haven't spent much more than that. It's usually spent at home with extra sitting at home remotely and trying to get up whenever I can, which is absolutely fine. I just haven't had a chance to experience the schedule like this. So I highly recommend for those at home that are close by to come up and join us for Zazen if you can, out in the Gaitan or for Seshin. The only thing we ask is that you're fully vaccinated and that you email the office before coming up. But we would love to see more people come up and join us for Zazen and for Seshin. I also like to thank everybody who's taken the time to have conversations with me this week about their practice through Zoom and over the phone. It's been a great time to catch up and see how everybody's doing and checking in on their practice and their commitment forms. So thank you for sending in your forms, and we look forward to seeing a few more. So the theme for this summer's Ango is as follows. Sudong Po, a Sung poet, was awakened by the sounds of the stream in Lushan one night after having heard his Zen teacher, Chang Sung, expound the discourse of insentient beings on the Dharma. He immediately composed the following poem. The sounds of the valley streams are his long, broad tongue. The sights of the mountains are his pure body. 84,000 verses are heard throughout the night. How can I relate to others what they say? The sounds of the valley streams are his long, broad tongue. The sights of the mountains are his pure body. 84,000 verses are heard throughout the night. How can I relate to others what they say? So Sudong Po had just heard his teacher give a discourse on the Dharma of insentient beings. And while walking home, he's awakened by the sounds of the stream. 84,000 verses are heard throughout the night. He hears all of the Buddha's teaching by the sound of the stream. And then he asks, how will I be able to tell others what they say? What he just experienced? How does one transmit the Dharma? Have you ever had an experience in your life when something extraordinary happened to you while you were just going about your day? It could be the way the breeze hits you, the way the moon looks, the way a bird lands in front of you, and you realize for a split second that you are a part of something bigger than you can even fathom. And then try to explain that to one of your friends. Now picture that times 84,000. That's what I think of when I think of this poem and what Sudong Po is experiencing. The sutras, the 84,000 verses of Buddha, they're alive today. They're not words in a book written thousands of years ago about something that happened 400 BC in the past. They are living and breathing with us today, right here, right now, on Sonoma Mountain. The title Mountains and Rivers Sutra is not a sutra about mountains and rivers. It's the Mountains and Rivers Sutra. The mountains are the sutras, and the rivers are the sutras. What Dogen is saying here is forget the sutras and open up to the mountains and the rivers. But Dogen wrote something about this poem before he wrote the Mountain and Rivers Sutra. He wrote, on the night that Sudong Po was enlightened, he had just heard his teacher teaching about insentient beings preaching the Dharma. Roof tiles, windows, walls, the floor, they are all preaching the Dharma. His teacher's words did not instantly awaken him, but when the sound of the stream hit him, it was as if the rolling waves had passed through the air and enlightened him. Was it the sound of the stream or his master's words that floated to his ears? I would suppose that his master's teaching on insentient beings quietly echoed with the sound of the stream at night. Sudong Po's teacher's words and the sound of the stream mix together, and the whole thing becomes the Buddha's tongue. But Dogen thought very highly of this poem, so highly that he wrote an essay called Sound of the Stream, Form of the Mountain, which is the 25th book of the Shobogenzo, Keisei Sen Shoku. In it, he writes, "What a pity, for so many times we seem to have missed the teaching method of manifesting a body to preach the Dharma. How does he further see the form of the mountain and hear the sound of the stream? Is it one phrase? Is it half a phrase? Is it 84,000 verses? We should regret that there are sounds and forms hidden in the mountains and waters. We should also rejoice that there are cases of time when sounds and forms appear in mountains and waters. The mark of the tongue does not weary. How could the form of the body persist and expire? Nevertheless, should we learn that when they appear, they are close, or should we learn that when they are hidden, they are close? Are they one piece? Are they half a piece? For the preceding springs and autumns, he had not seen or heard the mountains and waters. On occasion, this evening, he sees and hears a little of the mountains and waters. Bodhisattvas who study the way today should also open the gate that enters the study from the mountain flows, the water does not flow. The mountain flows, the water does not flow. On the day before the evening, when this layman awakened to the way, he had asked the Chan Master Zong about the saying, insentient beings preaching the Dharma. Though under the words of his master, he did not yet exhibit the behavior of flipping the body, i.e. awakening. When he heard the sound of the stream, the waves of the water reversing struck the heavens on high. Therefore, when the sound of the stream startled the layman, should we take it as the sound of the stream, or should we take it as the pouring froth of Chang Sung? What I wonder is whether Chang Sung's words on insentient beings preach the Dharma may still be echoing, secretly mixed into the even voice of the valley stream. Who would confirm this as two quarts or gather the currents as one ocean? Ultimately speaking, did the layman awaken to the way, or did the mountains and water awaken to the way? Who with clear eyes would not sharply fix their eye on the mark of the long tongue and the immaculate body? Master Chang Sha Jing Sen was asked by a monk, how does one turn the mountains, rivers, and earth back to the self? The master said, how does one turn the self back to the mountains, rivers, and earth? This saying means that the self is naturally the self, while the self, capital S, may be the mountains, rivers, and earth. It should not be restricted by returning. We should realize that were it not for the mountain form and the stream sound, holding up a flower, as the Buddha did on Vulture Peak, would not expound the Dharma. Getting the marrow would not take its place, as Huike did in response to Bodhidharma. Because of the virtues of the stream sound and the mountain form, the earth and sentient beings simultaneously achieve the way, as it is said of the Buddha's awakening. And there are Buddhas who see the bright star and awaken to the way, as Buddha did under the Bodhi tree. Skin bags such as these are prior wise men who resolved to seek the Dharma was extremely deep. Their traces, people of today should study without fail. Even today, the true study that has nothing to do with fame or profit should establish such resolve. When one repents in this way, one will invariably have the unseen aid of the Buddhas and ancestors. We should expose and announce to the Buddha the thoughts of our minds and the conduct of our bodies. The power of exposure causes the roots of our offenses to be destroyed. This is right practice of a single color. It is the mind of right faith. It is the body of right faith. When we have right practice, the sound of the stream and the form of the stream, the form of the mountain and the sound of the mountain, none begrudge the 84,000 verses. When the self does not begrudge the body and the mind of fame and profit, the stream and mountain are also ungrudging in this way. This evening may be one in which the sound of the stream and the form of the mountain express or do not express the 84,000 verses. But were the stream and the mountain to exhaust their strength without success in telling them of the stream and the mountain, who would see and hear you as the sound of the stream and the form of the mountain? Shohaku Okumura states in the final paragraph, of the sound of the stream in the form of the mountain. Dogen writes, when we are truly practicing the sounds and the colors of the valley streams, the colors and the sounds of the mountains, all unbegrudgingly expound their 84,000 verses. This means that the sounds of the valley streams and the color of the mountain do not hide the Dharma, the teaching, the truth, the reality of all beings. The reality is always revealed. Nothing is hidden. What's important is the condition of the person. Are we ready to listen to what the valley stream is really saying to us? Are we ready to see the Buddha's body through the forms of mountains, through the form of everything? Thank you.